Division 974 of the ITAA 97 contains specific rules that only apply to companies to determine whether an interest is a debt interest or an equity interest for tax purposes. Debt interests generally have non-contingent returns that are deductible but not frankable, whereas equity interests generally have contingent returns that are not deductible but frankable. It should be noted that in the case of a hybrid interest, which contains both debt and equity characteristics, the tiebreaker test treats the interest as a debt interest. Big Cheese Proprietary Limited has a turnover of $30 million and received a loan of $300,000, which has an interest rate of 8% per annum and is repayable after 7 years, at which point it may be converted to ordinary shares. Would the loan be treated as a debt interest or equity interest for tax purposes? For the scheme to satisfy the debt test, all elements must apply for the interest to be considered a debt interest. Firstly, there has been a scheme that is a financing arrangement in the form of a loan to Big Cheese. Secondly, Big Cheese, as the issuer, has received a financial benefit under the scheme in the form of the loaned amount. Thirdly, Big Cheese has an effectively non-contingent obligation under the scheme to provide financial benefits to the lender in the form of annual interest payments and the principal repayment. Fourthly, the financial benefit provided by Big Cheese to the lender is substantially more likely than not to be at least equal to the value of the original loan received by Big Cheese. As all elements of the debt test are satisfied, the loan to Big Cheese is considered a debt interest. For the scheme to satisfy the equity test, at least one item must apply for the interest to be considered an equity interest. Item 1 is not satisfied, as the interest is not an interest in the company as a shareholder. Item 2 is not satisfied, as the amount of the return to the lender by way of interest or principal is not contingent on the company making a profit. Item 3 is not satisfied, as the lender's right to a return in the form of interest or principal is not at the discretion of the company. Item 4 is likely to be satisfied in that the interest held by the lender may be converted into an equity interest in the form of ordinary shares in Big Cheese. As at least one item of the equity test is satisfied, the loan to Big Cheese is also considered an equity interest. It is evident that the loan to Big Cheese contains features of both debt and equity interests and is typical of a hybrid financial interest. So now we need to consider the tiebreaker test, and the interest is effectively treated as a debt interest for tax purposes. The annual interest payments would be deductible but not frankable. To recap, in deciding whether an interest is considered a debt interest or equity interest for tax purposes, we need to consider the tests set down in Division 974. If the interest contains elements of both, then we need to turn to the tiebreaker test for hybrid instruments, which effectively treats the interest as a debt interest.